feels so good to be right about everything. I'm Mediocrity4, and this is my review of Volume 4, Episode 2, Dread in the Air. If you haven't seen the episode yet, you may want to before watching this review. Let's start about how much I hate Blake. Yes, I've made plenty of videos about her in the past, and it may seem odd to talk about her here since she's not even in this episode, but at the end of Volume 4, she discovered that Adam planned on overthrowing Sienna Khan. Earlier that same volume, Khan sent the fabulous Fox brothers to explain the situation to Gira. So what did Blake do with that information? For that matter, how did Ilya get that information if Menagerie doesn't have a CCT and even Hazel was unaware? And if Menagerie does have a way to communicate with Mistral or even Vale where Adam was before, then once again, how did Gira not know about the breach? Was it the whole plan to prevent this? Why did they wait? Why didn't they go public right away and give Sienna Khan the heads up? Why did they even stay in Menagerie if all this is going down in Mistral? Why is Blake such an insufferable twat who ruins episodes she's not even freaking in? The worst part is all this does is simplify things. It cuts plotlines short. I'm so sorry about that. They could have played a game of nuance and uneasy alliances, you know, like they set up in Volume 3 before the fandom hated Adam outright and the writers took all his humanity away and started giving Ilya the setup for character arcs they obviously intended for Adam. Instead, they reduced the White Fang into generic goon villains who are somehow worse than the people following Salem. This scene would have been fine if they explored some of this stuff beforehand or didn't plot out Blake's story the way they did. Blake might not be in the scene, but the problems do stem from her story arc. My god, it's spreading, infecting other plotlines. Quick, we have to quarantine Blake's story arc before it spreads further. Thankfully, Blake is now the only one with no connection to Raven. Weiss's action scene is pretty creative. This is probably the best use of a floating island aesthetic I've ever seen for no other reason than gravity dust makes it so much more believable than physics breaking gravity pits or whatever the hell was going on in Avatar. The camera work is also pretty good and it has a lot more visual consistency than other fight scenes as far as I can tell. Though I must express one weakness with recent fight scenes I didn't address in my honest look. There's more frames for more fluidity, but it's almost always over a far greater period of time. This is why so many of the movements seem slow and awkward in the new engine. But hey, Silver Chariot is badass with more personalities than some actual characters, so I'm all for this. And I'm always excited to get more Raven. I also must admit that this Life is Mine is a bit out of place, mostly because this scene has nothing to do with Jacques, but also because the line plays over the shot of Weiss's literal pet summon soaring through the air. On that note, with the way the summoning vanishes and reappears in midair, could Weiss theoretically fly using her glyphs? Questions for later. The Salem scene might seem worse than the Sienna Khan scene, but its problems are not deal breakers. It's just repetitive of what we already know, and Cinder's voice is back. Yay. I empathize with Watts because Jessica Negri was so much better last volume than previous ones, and now she's back to her normal self. But for my money, I love this scene. I love being right about Lionheart's motives. I love that Watts is a total dick to Cinder. I love that Cinder is all flustered over Ruby. I love that Salem is showing way more personality here than she has previously. I love the Siren. I love how pissed Salem is to hear that Crow is alive. So overall, I might like this episode way more than last episode. Even the worst part wasn't so much bad as it was out of place. Plus, Blake's story arc was already a steaming pile of horse manure, and there's way more stuff worthy of complaint throughout this arc than a single thrown away opportunity. I'm Mediocrity4. Thanks for watching.